Alright everybody, Stephen Howson here, just back from the game. I'm just about dry, got absolutely drenched filming the fan cams, and it still took us over an hour despite the fact there was a lot less people due to the rain, so we're just getting them uploaded all right about now. This will go up after them, so they'll be up already if you're looking for them, whatever. So we beat Sheffield United, we beat them 1-0 in the 94th, I think it ended up going in minute, with a Wayne Rooney penalty from what initially looked, from where I saw it, like a dive from Memphis Depay. Now I've seen the replay, it does look like he catches him on the left shin, so it is what it is. There's times that we should have had penalties this season and we didn't get them. Maybe this was one there, we maybe didn't deserve it and we got it. So it was that little bit of luck starting to turn our way a little bit. 2016, 2 for 2, 1-0 wins. I'm pretty happy with that, really. The performance is still not there, in all honesty. And you got to consider the opposition in this one. They come with a very specific job, and that was to take us to a replay back at Bramall Lane, and they nearly did it. But they didn't. And that's the bottom line, is they didn't, and we progress. So I've seen tons of people still Van Gaal out. There's no way they're sacking him after a victory when they didn't sack him after that run of defeats. So let's just get behind him, and let's stop with the Van Gaal out stuff, because I think it's abundantly clear now, unless we have another period like December, he's going nowhere, and speculating about his future does nobody any good whatsoever. But I want to talk about some positives today. One positive that I thought was Damian. I know, again, we have to consider the opposition, but what he's shown today was he was willing to get beyond that last man, and he was willing to put crosses in. United of old, vintage, bombing forward fullbacks. I was talking to my mate Illy outside the ground, and we was talking about what David Beckham used to do. David Beckham used to cross from 30 yard out. He was always crossing from deep. He didn't cross from the byline. He used to cross from deep and put the ball ahead of the strikers. And they were phenomenal crosses. If you've not been lucky enough to witness David Beckham in real life, his crosses was absolutely phenomenal. I've never seen anything like it before or since. But Gary Neville had a very specific job to do when David Beckham was crossing, because Beckham would cross from so deep, he wouldn't take his man on, he would just be given the ball in that right hand spot, and Gary Neville would just be like, oh, giving it some right past him. And what he does in that moment, as David Beckham stood there and Gary Neville comes past, the fullback goes like that, just that little brief moment where he thinks, what do I do? And in that moment David Beckham's crossed it, and more often than not Dwight York was getting his head on the end of it, right in the middle of the 18-yard box. And what I saw from Damian today was a willingness to keep going, and he offered space for Lingard, and he offered space for Herrera, and he was making that dummy run. Dummy runs are so important in any sport, especially in football, especially when you're trying to break a team down. So that was a massive positive for me. Memphis, I thought, for the last 3 or so games, whenever he's come off the bench, has looked absolutely phenomenal. He looks hungry, he looks aggressive, he looks like he's capable. He looks like the player that we had early in August when he was coming in and doing stuff. And I think another reason for that is because Borthwick Jackson was doing a similar job, not exactly the same, but it was a similar job to what Damian was doing on the right hand side. And I think Memphis was so good with Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw would be constantly bombing, constantly looking. He was also a threat himself. So when he went past the winger, leaving a fullback in two minds, who do I go with? Do I go with the run or do I stay with the man? Memphis then takes advantage, and he would more or less come inside. Obviously not like David Beckham where he'd be crossing from deep. But Memphis coming inside, taking a shot. We did have the shots today. I think we had 11 shots, I believe. Yeah, I've just checked down there. It's 11 shots, only 2 on target. So that's just the same mantra that I've been repeating for weeks now. We're having the shots, we're just not being clinical enough. And I think as soon as that changes, the results will change and the performances will feel different. I feel like if we get a goal in the first 10 minutes, we'll probably go relax a little bit, and I think we could see us going on and scoring 2 or 3. This has been the same sort of thing that's happened in several matches this season. We saw it against Chelsea. If one matter puts that one away instead of hitting the bar, I think we go on and we hammer them. But the longer the game goes on, the more confident the other team become of either nicking a goal themselves or keeping it 0-0, which is most of the time that's what teams come to Old Trafford to do, in it, is to nick a 0-0. City did it. City came and they was happy with a 0-0. We wouldn't be happy with a 0-0 home or away at the moment, would we? Because that's because Manchester United, and we expect bigger things from our team, which is a good thing to have. But in this transitional period, we just got to be a little bit patient. We demand more from the players. We demand more from the manager. We want to see that risk. And today I think we did see that. 4-4-2 for the last probable half an hour or so, like I think once he brought Memphis on. Memphis on the left, Lingard on the right. Schweinsteiger and Fellaini were sat fairly deep, so he could have done with them just pushing on just a little bit more. Rooney and Marshall up front, and I think that's a pretty good forward six in all honesty. And then you've got the fullbacks going on beyond that. If we can get someone better than Fellaini, and probably someone with a bit more guile and a bit more goal scoring ability than Schweinsteiger and Fellaini have got, someone who might actually commit a man, someone who's got that goal scoring ability in them from central midfield, then we would see a completely different United. Now, whether we're going to see that or not in this transfer window, I have no idea whatsoever. But we can but hope. Tuesday we go to Newcastle. I reckon Schneiderlin's going to be the key for that team. I don't expect many more changes from what we saw starting tonight, apart from him in for Fellaini, I would have thought. Probably Young in for Borthwick Jackson, just because he's going to go with that experience. I think a little bit more. Might move him on to the right hand side and put Darmian on left. I hope not, because all the positives I've just said about overlapping fullbacks, we lose that with Darmian when he plays on the left, because his left-footed crossing is awful. Anyway, that'll do for tonight, I think. Thanks for watching. Probably going to have another FIFA video out tomorrow and a Football Manager video with Adam McCullough and Squawker Dave at some stage tomorrow. It'll be recorded tomorrow. Whether or not it gets done, I don't know. Well, thank you for watching. Stick it in the comments below what you thought about today's performance, and subscribe if you haven't. Cheers.